Hey you guys, so this is my last message. I just wanted to say I love you and I am moving to China and I appreciate each of you so much for all of your words of encouragement, for your questions, a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, and I appreciate you guys for sharing those with me in terms of your life journey. I really do appreciate it. If I might, since telling my close friends and relatives that I was moving to China, one of the things that I noticed is that they would say, well, you realize that they're persecuting Christians over there, right? And I have this to say about that. Persecution is the opposition of someone's choice, period. And persecution can vary depending upon who you're dealing with, but it can become quite violent. It could be psychologically draining. It could be all sorts of things. And what I believe that is in this country as a believer in America, there is such a push um, for some folks to not share the fact that they are saved or that they are believers. It's not a popular thing, especially if you live your life for God. The number of people who try to get you to do the opposite of that is staggering. And when you're dealing with that every single day, that can feel like persecution. Um, if someone were to say, okay, you have to renounce Christ or you're going to lose your life, I would gladly say, I have lived a beautiful life, gorgeous life. I've gotten to travel all around the world. I've met some amazing people, and a lot of them are you. And I could ask for nothing more. I am just so thankful. And the idea that persecution happens contingent on land. In other words, if you are in one part of the world, the assumption is that it's worse there because you're not here. Because we say, God bless America, instead of saying, God bless the world, because all of it is His and thereof, all there is beyond. This nationalist sentiment is what causes people to be blind to their own involvement in persecution. There are people out there who say, okay, this person is from Latin America, or this person is from Mexico, or this person is gay, or this person is straight, or this person is whatever, fill in the blank, an alcoholic, a drug addict, this person is wealthy, that there are stigmas that are attached to that person and that people are judged accordingly. There's a whole movement that deals with the fact that people are unjustly treated when they're pulled over by police officers. Now, that hasn't been my experience in America. And I understand that everybody has a different perspective. But I would never tell someone not to come to America because you will be persecuted. Because every single interaction is unique. And so we must be very careful not to cast judgment against sections of the world or against an entire people on the basis of prejudice. I am moving to a city that has 6 million people in it. City, not state. City. It's a lot of people. And I bet you anything that the inhabitants of that city don't all believe the same things. What do we call persecution? Well, some could say that if you are a woman and you're a woman of color, or if you are just a woman in science, that there are obstacles that you have to endure. I don't think that's going to continue. I've seen great progress in that area. There are a lot of women who are doing the thing in math and science and STEM. It's awesome. There are a lot of people out there who are doing great things, and there's no persecution. That's just a prejudice that we have in our minds. And if you encounter somebody who does have prejudice, we get to the root. that prejudice is usually rooted in folklore. This idea that is sustained by a group of people who share similar comforts. And to step out of that comfort can lead to fear. And so if you can address the fear of why is it that you feel this way? Okay, people persecute in China. They persecute Christians in China. Why do you feel that way? What have you heard that is with that? And it's like, okay, once you start asking more and more questions of that person, well, oh, all people of that color or all people, oh, that's just their way. Well, why do you feel that way? All? All? In school, they encourage us to stay away from words like all, always, never, absolutes, because it doesn't take into account the individuals. I believe that's how elections are won and lost. It's based off of our choices and this bandwagon theory. And I just want to say and speak to you that I believe in you more than that. I believe in your individualism. I believe in your intelligence. I believe in your discernment. I speak words of faith over this nation. And I believe that Americans can come together and that you don't have to be bothered by the news. You don't have to be bothered by the media necessarily, but just look at your facts around you. Observe. Stop letting a small few dictate reality for you. Really look at it. Because if you have a problem with a particular politician because of what they're doing, before you point fingers at that person, look inwardly. Say, have you ever said racy stuff about women? Have you ever had thoughts that were against people of your own nation? Are there parts of the world you would never travel to because you have a stigma against the people? Really do an internal evaluation, because it's so easy to scrutinize somebody else because somebody else told us to. It's like high school. I didn't like high school because I was the dweeb people made fun of. But if one person started a pss, 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 then the whole school thought it. And then here you had people laughing and ridiculing you and throwing stuff at you, and it's not even true. You never know what treasure you're missing out on because of what your perception is. And I say that because I believe that's the daunting factor that keeps people from maximizing their dreams. Most older people that I talk to can reflect back on when they were younger and say, oh yeah, if I had made that choice, if I had just made that decision, if I had just been brave enough to do that thing, to pull the trigger on that, who knows where I would be. You hear people say that a lot. Who knows where I would be? The way to avoid saying, who knows where I would be, is to follow your heart and follow your passions, and don't let fear dissuade you. Fear is the governing factor that drives people's emotions. And because we're afraid because somebody else is getting privileges, we don't stop ourselves and ask, how can we help that person? If you look at someone and you say that they are making decisions, choices that you don't agree with, ask yourself, how may I serve them? One of the best little tools in my toolbox that I have learned, that God has shown me, is if you're dealing with somebody who suffers from prejudice, bake them some cookies. Bake them some cookies. Bake them some cinnamon rolls. It's hard when somebody has shown, it's like, hi, I just wanted to give you this because I think you're a great person and I really like your hair, or I really like your shirt, or I really like your shoes. I just wanted to give you this. 99.9% of the time, when you go out of your way to serve somebody who's been nasty to you, it's like their heart just is like, oh, I can't even say anything. And then the next time they want to say, well, all black women with big hair are this way or that way, they look at you and they're like, well, I can't say that because I know there was this one. And I get not a lot of people think selflessly. I know a lot of people are selfish. But when you understand your potential, your resources, you have to build your future in good soil. You plant your seeds for your future in good soil. You have choices that you can make as a man. Because I believe, Adam and Eve, you go into the Bible, because y'all know I'm a believer. So if you start in the beginning of the Bible, you've got Adam and Eve, right? And from Adam and Eve burst more people and more people and more people, and then nations, and then kings, and then rulings, and all of everything. But it started off with Adam and Eve. And from there, they eventually had Abraham as a descendant. And then as Abraham was a descendant, man, the earth is flooded with folk, right? But the seed that we plant is what determines how the future grows. If you as a man look at a woman, you look at your wife, your husband, and you're looking at your wife. When you make love to her, you are planting seed there. And the soil is not her body, really. The soil is the environment that you two cultivate. Nobody is perfect. And to think that getting into a marriage with somebody who's going to be perfect and a finished product already is a great mistake. It's a great tragedy. But you're able to see that person and you love them and you care for them and you see their faults, and then you encourage them in the ways that they can improve on those things. So if your wife is an impatient woman, it's like, man, you could get offended by it, or you could say, wow, she's an impatient woman. Baby, I love you. And I know that you have the ability to be long-suffering, and that you can get through this situation if you breathe. And I love you, and I'm going to see you through this. See, now at first she's going to be like, yeah, but she's going to hear that and it softens her heart. Ladies, you have a husband who's doing something that you don't like. Maybe he's not spending enough time with you. Maybe he's whatever. But you encourage him in what he does do. Or you encourage him, you speak words of faith in him so that they take root, and he says, okay, she sees my positives. It's not like, it's like she sees my positives and she's nurturing me so that I grow into a better man. And it's hard because your first impulse when somebody ticks you off is to go off. But if you don't go off and you think, how can I serve that person to make them better? Meaning more patient, more kind, more loving, more thoughtful. You will start to see blessings overflow in your life. And you'll be at true peace with yourself because you know that you planted seeds that were healthy and that were going to spread towards others in a great way. You ever see a man leave his house and he's just like, man, he doesn't even want to go because his wife is amazing and he's had a beautiful morning, and then he goes and he has a beautiful morning at work and he's like saying hello to everybody at work, and then they see his smile and it's infectious. Well, that's what I mean when I say that our choices are the governing factor that determine our futures. And, we can get all caught up in this stuff on TV, or we can silence ourselves and really say, I have the choice. I have the choice to choose. I don't have to choose what everybody else says on that idiot box. I can choose right. I can choose to be kind. I can choose to be thoughtful. I can choose to let go of my prejudices. I can choose to let go of my fears and pursue my dreams so that I'm not sitting here bitter and resentful and jealous of others. But it ultimately comes down to our choices. So I love you guys. And this is my last one. And it's been an amazing journey, and I know it's just beginning. But yeah. So peace and blessings to you guys.